let's come to Dr. Emeka Okengu. Let's look at the implication of these inflation rates on the economy generally, because, I mean, a lot of people are groaning right now, and the purchasing power seems to be, reducing. So what is the implication of this on economic growth, employment, and even on poverty?
Well, you're missing something. Citizens' sanity and mental health. I think that's also very critical. I want to stay with the 40%, okay, which is the main weight. And this is where you get this citizen sanity and mental health. And this is where we also land Claire's concerns. That you as a mom will go to the market, somebody looks at you, picks up 2 pieces of ginger and says, Madam, 500, and then looks away. And what you have in your pocket, for that day, for that month, is 4,000 or 5,000 or even 10,000. So let me also now fixate this to what the issues are. We can talk about this front end. Let's look at the back end. And the back end, Demola, is productivity. If you had volumes, if you had farms that were producing ginger, both at the organic, both at the pedestrian, both at the small scale, both at the commercial scale, there is no way you would have ginger selling at 2 for 500, mangoes 2 for this. So I think the basic factor that we're trying to not get is that we are at that slippery slope where we are losing our capacity and ability as a nation to be able to produce what we eat. That's one part of it. And then it is worsened by the fact that as a nation, we are also at this point where we can no longer be able to import even what we eat. There are 2 factors here. Factor number 1 is the global disruptions, okay, that are there. All right, the global factors. Factor number 2 is the cost of your currency against where you are importing from. So it's important in trying to put this conversation into perspective. Okay, and then we have talked about these rural and local economies. And I'm very keen on it. Do we have one rural economy for Nigeria? Would it be fair to classify the Abuja rural economy with the rural economy of Sokoto? And this is when that disposable capital comes in. Claire, you also raised an issue. Is housing part of this? If your house rent cannot be captured under 15%, I think that's the allocation now for housing development of your wage, then you are in trouble. Okay, because what if you want to go and borrow against mortgage? You don't get more than 15% of your total income. Now, if you have an income where 15% of your total income on an annual basis cannot pay for a house in Karimo as a deputy director, okay, can't pay for 1 year, and then you're supposed to be borrowing against that to be able to build your house and then pay over a 10-year period, you are now having this second problem. So for me, you're talking about the impact, and I'm trying to make it as open as we can. And who do we now ask what has happened here? It might not just be the federal government, because what Dr. Oju has done is to lay the statistics, lay the situations bare to you. Who are the culprits here? First and foremost, the first thing I would ask is, where is that food production implementation plan for our country? What volume of nutrition do we need to produce as a nation to be self-sufficient? We're talking about 40%. We're talking about rising prices. It's for those who have the money. Are we not talking about malnutrition? Has that been taken into consideration? Because from the statistics that are releasing, it simply means that a lot of people are also getting anemic and malnourished. This is a basic factor. Because if you look at somebody's disposable capital against what he needs to buy and against the prices he needs to buy it, and he's not able, you know he can't buy it, you know he can't afford it, that person is getting malnourished. And there are situations now, even where I come from, where you come from, Claire, where they are showing pictures of children who have gotten very, very malnourished. It's in a lot of platforms. And this is national. So we're just looking at it from the statistical, point of view. Like you asked me now, what is the human impact on our economy? And that's why I said to you, it's important we include, the mental health, issues and the frustration that this can also occasion. Now, this is one part of it. You drive a Mercedes, you buy fuel for 20,000, which gives you about 18 liters or thereabout. You live in Karasana or Gwarimpa or Nyanya or wherever. You drive into this place. By the time you go home and come out the next morning, if you have an indicator, it begins to show yellow. The next 2 days, you can't drive out. Now, where do you capture that cost? Where is it captured in our inflationary, computations? So I think what we need to do is to begin to rethink this thing. We need to rethink it and rethink it very deeply and very fast, because it's no longer about talk. I think we have gone past talk. We have a situation in our hands, and as a country, I think it's important that we take what the MBS has done very seriously. I commend them for this job. I commend them for being even brave to be able to put it the way it is. And I rest on this, because I told Dr. Ojo, if we are not funding MBS to do the proper things, we might not even be able to get the real figures. Because a lot of what we have now are not generated from real-time studies.